It's no joke when you choke, so get LifeVac and live. Without breath, there'll be death. So get LifeVac and live. Get LifeVac and live. Get LifeVac and live.
LifeVac and live.
Wow. So talented, such a great American, and yet he takes time out of his busy day, Mike Rowe, to sing that beautiful The LifeVac song. It's wonderful. Hey, everyone. Rick Fatscher, welcome to In the Arena. I'm joined by Mr. Pat is a regular here.
That's right. No Mike Rowe, but
yeah. But self-described choking hazard, is that true? You think?
I'm an expert at choking.
You're prone.
Yes, I eat fast.
Anyway, we are live tonight from Paradise Studios in Massapequa, New York. We are, you probably could tell by the two of us being here, Arthur Lee is not with us tonight, but as always, in spirit, the CEO, inventor of LifeVac. And we're coming up on a big milestone. It's rapidly approaching, and we're having bets and all kinds of contests to guess what day will the 4,000th life be saved?
The experts are now saying before the end of this month. I thought it'd be in like July, but
yeah,
this product is working so well. We're way ahead of schedule.
Way ahead of schedule. And we got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be talking to the Valor Meat Snack guy, Chris Praskas. We're going to be talking to Jose Tovar out in, is it Idaho? I believe it's Idaho, but he's going to tell us all about my Family First Aid, a brand new distributor for LifeVac. But before we talk to those two great veteran gentlemen, we're going to be checking in with Roadshow Ryan, who we haven't heard from in a while. Roadshow Ryan is LifeVac from a Costco near you. Roadshow, how's it going out there?
What's up, LifeVackers? It's going well. I'm in Brooklyn, New York right now.
Brooklyn. So you've been doing these road shows for a while now. It started on Long Island, and then you went away for a while. Tell us about some of the places you've been.
Yeah, so I've been traveling up and down the East Coast with my friend Charlie here.
Yes.
I've been going Costco to Costco from Virginia to Massachusetts, all the way up to New Hampshire. Just, spreading the good word about LifeVac, educating the members, and most importantly, getting LifeVacs in the hands of families across the country. One thing does stay the same no matter what city or what state I'm in, is I'm meeting people who have used the LifeVac to save someone that they know, or know someone who used the LifeVac to save someone they know. So that's,
contrast, right? From 2016, the first year A-Life was reported, and there were only 4 the entire year. So yeah. I was with you on a couple of the road shows, so I can attest not only people name recognition and product recognition, but also coming up and reporting and a certain percentage unreported saves, right?
Yes. So it's been a little over 30 total, and the majority of them have been unreported. So I know I think we crossed over the 3,900th life saved that's reported, but that number, I think it's way higher with all the saves out.
Yeah, Pat's concurring right now. I don't know if you can see it.
That means
from where
agree
you are
on the SATs. Yes.
Yeah. So Roadshow, what's up next? You're in Brooklyn today for the rest of the week.
I'll be in Brooklyn until Saturday night, and then next week I'm in Staten Island from Wednesday to Sunday. Then I head up to Connecticut for 2 weeks. I'm going to East Lyme and South Windsor, Connecticut.
Wow.
And then Edison, New Jersey, followed by a 3-month show in Texas. So I'll be in the Dallas area.
For 3 months?
I'm hitting 9 different locations there.
That's off. What happened?
Roadshow, your parents are here. Do you want to? Have you been able to converse with your parents? Your parents are here.
Texas is beautiful this summer. It's only about 110 every day. No,
yes.
you'll love it.
And we should. Yeah, and we appreciate you so much out there spreading the word, because as most people know, LifeVac is a very small, intimate, very passionate company. And we appreciate you so much. We should mention that Costco, in terms of corporate responsibility, absolutely doing the right thing. Not only do they have Ryan there with the LifeVac setup available for the public, but they have in each of their food courts worldwide a LifeVac right next to the AED near the food court. Because by God, Pat, have you seen the size of the hot dogs?
I have.
Yeah.
I've used LifeVac 4 times in that place. Are you single, Ryan?
Uh-oh.
Are you single? You dating anyone right now?
I'm single.
Hey,
I think
ladies.
in Dallas, it's going to happen in Texas. 3 months stay in Texas. That's right, girls.
Wow.
Oh,
Look at
wait.
the smile.
Mom says marry a Long Island girl.
It's a 2-pack here for $119, so you get the home.
All right.
He's working his
Yeah,
ass off. Look at this
let's
kid.
let
We
this
love
guy
it.
get back to what he's doing. Ryan, we love you.
More important than
belt,
talking to us.
and then 2 masks. You get a
All right,
pediatric
Roadshow.
kids as well as an adult mask.
Good luck
Look
at
at him
Charlene.
in action.
We'll talk to you before you go to Dallas.
Let's
Rose-
do
Talk
Roadshow.
as-
All right. Roadshow Ryan Warner, everybody. Keep it going in the comments, and he's out on the road. Really alerting me to where he's going to be in the next few weeks. Amazing.
Audie sending him there for 3 months. Summer in Dallas. That sounds like a country song.
Nice. So, Pat, next guest, Christopher Pracus. We're in the airport. I think it was
Going to
Newark.
St. Louis, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just
and
a
of
couple weeks
course,
ago.
I thought initially that he recognized the two of us from work that we did with
How
Brian.
famous we are.
But
of course.
apparently,
Yes.
Again, first name
Now, our
drop.
favorite hobby, both of us, is walking behind Brian in an airport because we love seeing people's reactions. And then a lot of times they'll walk by and they tell me their spouse or friend, and go, "That was Brian." And we always say, "Yeah, you want a picture?"
Yeah.
And he's always so gracious and takes pictures with everyone. But
Yeah.
so me and Rick were about 10 feet back walking by, and him and Allison were in front of us. His assistant, well, not assistant. What is she? A PA?
She's a
Go right
do
there.
everything. She's
Yeah.
the woman behind the man.
Yep.
She's the woman in the arena. Allison Mansfield, big shout out. If you watch Brian Kilmeade do his Facebook Lives, his radio show, she's the producer for that, but she's always holding one of the cameras for all his Facebook Lives. And boy, if he doesn't sleep, she can't sleep either.
But we're going to catch a plane, and we're walking by him, his wife. One kid,
Beautiful
kid or 2
family.
kids, 2 kids.
I think they were two.
Great guy, and he gives us beef jerky. Gives us all bags of beef jerky, and I had mine that night. Drunk, and it was good.
I had
It was
mine
good.
too, and I had the spicy version.
I like the spicy.
And oh boy,
Yeah.
it was spicy. With no further delay, let's bring Chris Pracus into the building, into the arena.
Hey guys, how are you?
What's going on?
Good to see you again, and thank you so much for the Valor beef jerky.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I know it was just like coming up to someone in the airport's it's always like, oh, here, take this. Or like, okay, I don't want it. So I appreciate you guys being gracious enough of taking it from me and hearing how what it was all about. So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
It was genuinely, actually, really. What you said to each other on the plane, we're like, "This is really good." This is, I finished my bag immediately.
Sure.
yeah. So I'm reading up on the company and the inspiration, and this isn't like oh, what could I bring? This is a family tradition with is it Pops?
Grandpa.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about how it all
Sure.
started.
Yeah, I've been in the business of the beef jerky business since 2016, but it started way prior to that. So so I joined the military September 11th, 2000, and pretty much the rest of my time was spent overseas. In that time,
Yeah,
Chris,
back up.
back
That date,
up
to
a
the
second.
day a year before September.
September 11th, 2000.
To the day a year before the bombings.
Yep, correct. So I, needless to say, I thought that, I was just like, I remember my mother walking to the terminal with me to go to basic training. I'm like, Mom, it's going to be all right. Just going to get some college and this is going to be great for me. And she's like, okay. To the year to the day, I'm on the flight line,
right?
and I was working on F-16, so I was walking on the flight line. I'm like, oh, it's actually been a day and a year, excuse me. And then, the whole world changed and kind of stopped in that time. But in that time when I was being deployed, I remember if we were lucky enough to receive a care package from home, it meant the most to actually everyone around us. And if you were even more so, if you had jerky in the care package, it was like a currency. You could use it for trading a CD or a DVD rather.
Like cigarettes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, did you have, if you got packages from home, was the family, I know the family, it's an old family recipe and it came down, was it your own product?
So, yeah, I I started it with my getting to Pops. He loved, we smoking ribs. That's how it really started. He had a nice a recipe specifically for his rubs and marinades. And I always loved doing it with him when we were together. And or it was like a family, like cookout or something like that, we'd get the cuts of meat and I'd always get in the kitchen with him and we'd, start with that. Now, when he passed, I did it with Uncle Paul. Shout out to Uncle Paul.
Yeah, Uncle Paul.
But we converted it to jerky. So when I gotten out of the military, I was kind of, starting to doing the ribs and the smoking again. And like, we kind of tweaked the recipe to jerky, which, smoking it is very different when you're messing with like a marinade. When smoking jerky is completely different to smoking ribs when you're going to have it that day. Right. So we got it down to pat. And then I was like, I'm going to actually start making this jerky. And it started, I was making it and then putting it into bags and selling it at bars and restaurants. And then my wife was like, hey, you better stop this, someone, or go legit. So I started the company. And, before I had started the company, I didn't want the jerky to just be another Joe Blow beef jerky company out there. I wanted to actually make it mean something. I wanted it to create a brand that I remember also well when I was being deployed, and what was the best time, well, not the best time, but the most memorable time of me having beef jerky. And I just couldn't remember, like, the one thing that stood out in my mind was being deployed and having that jerky. It reminded me the most of home. And, you miss those times when you're away from family. That reminded me of like those times with family and the barbecues and such that I missed. So that was my contribution. I wanted it to mean something. So I wanted to create the brand that it gave back, and it means so much to me. So what we do in our mission, being a mission-driven company, we give back by donating jerky to deployed troops as a thank you, just as I remember also well when I was over there. So thank you for that.
Right.
As well as donating to nonprofits that help veterans and first responders that are in need. And, it's been a great, I wanted it to stand for something long after I'm gone, that this is a brand that, people can get behind. Not only that it's an actual family tradition, but it's also a great taste. It's a great tasting product, but it also means something that people are actually helping. So
absolutely. Great mission, great website. Would be a great time, Bobby, if we could get up covering Pat and myself, maybe the picture of the website.
Oh yeah.
And it's Valor. Give us the exact website.
Sure. It's thevalorusa.com.
Thevalorusa.com. And there's a picture of some of the jerky. And I think there's some other pictures on there that.
And with Easter on Sunday,
even dog treats.
Oh yeah. So I didn't even get to that. The dog treats.
Yeah, we're in this season. That's is that a picture of you?
That's me. Boy? Oh my gosh. Oh wow, that's a long time. I'm a kid there. I feel like a kid. That's us. That's our. So I was part of the 421st Black Widow Squadron. We were F-16 fighter squadron out of Hill Air Force Base, Utah. Shout out to those guys. We were kind of, as many understand, it's first to go, last to know. And, so that was my grandfather.
There's Pops.
Yeah, there's Pops.
Particular order. And you can see a disappearing Gumby sneaking out from the bottom, almost looking like your grandfather's legs right there. Yeah. Little trick we do with the camera.
There we go.
It's so awesome to see the website, and when Pat and I travel with Brian, not only at the shows, but as you can attest, in the airports, we meet so many great people, and we met your family, and you were quick to, to share your product, and we wanted to do nothing more.
Actually, his wife said, "Get some out of the bag. Give them some."
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, a knapsack full of them."
Is she the
Yes.
brains behind the operation?
Oh, she's
She's a
always
marketing genius.
absolutely. Yes. She's telling me like do this or don't, just stand fast.
Well, to not ignore those commands when they come from the missus. It's really awesome. So when did you establish the Valor brand?
I want to say it's actually this past year. And I recently, and you showed a picture of the dog treats that I didn't even mention. So I'm a big dog lover, and I can honestly say it was a natural progression where I also, we give back to nonprofits that actually take dogs out of kill shelters and train them to be a certified service dog for a veteran or first responder in need.
Wow.
So honestly, it was it was just, and I love dogs, and I was just like, wow, how about we just make a dog treat as well?
Yeah.
Now, I didn't call it Valor dog treats because I think that would be very confusing. So I wanted to also, with the patriotism of that, call it Patriot Paws dog treats. So it's a really it's not a single ingredient because we use sea salt and a little bit of vegetable glycerin, which is 100% all natural, but it's the best, most healthiest product for a dog treat. But again, the mission.
Interestingly,
If I behave.
I don't know if you knew this about Brian. No chewing gum, doesn't like to dance, but he also doesn't eat a lot of beef. Is there chicken or turkey jerky for the folks like Brian?
That is it. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Yes. I know the cat's out of the bag, but yes, we are going to be making a actual chicken jerky product. That's I'm narrowing down the flavors, but there's it's like a barbecue. I'm originally from Maryland, so I love Chesapeake, Old Bay spice.
Right. Old Bay.
So we're working on some flavors that it's a healthier, again, chicken jerky. So yeah.
Well, you said, what's the difference between smoking meat and jerky? Jerky. Like, what do you just cook it longer and dehydrate it, or?
Sure. Yeah. The big smokers that we use, there's a smoke cycle that we use, and it has to be at a certain grade, and we use a certain chip of wood for those big smokers. At home, you can smoke ribs or a brisket or steaks even at like on a Traeger. So to do that on a massive scale, but it's all about timing and temperature, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, my buddy had a shed in his backyard, and he used to smoke meat back there. So
it's the best.
It was like the little barbecue cooker thing.
Yeah,
he had a whole shed. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
shed new light on it. It's a great endeavor. Anything that we can do besides eat the samples, which we enjoy doing.
I think we need a seminar on it. We should sit in his backyard and drink some beers.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Every different way to smoke meat.
Yeah,
and then we'll try it.
Smoking meats. So, Chris, from Maryland, where are you based now?
Pennsylvania, as of now, Pennsylvania, and I shoot back out and forth to California, to Southern California every once in a while, but mainly Western Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh area.
Great. Well, we appreciate you. We're gonna be part of your journey. Yes. I don't know if you did any research. I knew you were familiar with, and you had, I think, LifeVacs, but I checked in with Donna Yaisley, our historian, and just she just can't say enough great things about it. But she did tell me that LifeVac was used to dislodge as an obstruction 9 different people, including a 4-year-old. Missouri, a 4-year-old child in Missouri was choking on. Not that it happens with the Valor brand, but it's just with jerky in general.
You don't chew it enough, like anything.
Right. Sure.
Missouri's
and I do have actually a LifeVac. We bought one for my my wife's father. He had dementia, unfortunately, but he was a real choking or he was a risk. So
absolutely,
when we saw the first commercials, we were like, we got one immediately. So absolutely. I think that stand by good products just like that. So it's just like, it's an easy, a no-brainer to have a LifeVac for sure.
Yeah. Well, the LifeVac family is proud to know you, and we'll continue to work together as you bring this thing national.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You kidding?
Oh.
I'll see you again soon, I hope.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
We'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Pascas. Well, one of the nicer interruptions. I don't think we've had we've had a little over the years doing the show. We've had some strange interactions, but by and large, very positive,
Always.
great people coming
Yes.
up to Brian.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, let's just move right along. Yesterday I became aware of this gentleman. Jose Tovar is a new member of the LifeVac family. He has his own My Family First Aid organization, website. He's also a veteran of the Marine Corps. And let's not waste any more time. Me spitting out. There he is, Jose Tovar.
Hey, how's it going, you guys? Thanks for having me on. It's an honor. It's a privilege. So
It's our
thank you, first of all.
It's our honor.
Yeah. So thank you for your service, number one, and your continued service. Tell me about how this started in 2019. How you got into training.
Yeah, 2019, I was still working as a full-time firefighter paramedic in Los Angeles County. And then in 2021 or 2020, I had a back injury and was medically retired from that after about a 2-year medical retirement process of trying to get me better. And that didn't really work out. So in 2019, I had started my original company called MF1A, which stands for My Family's First Aid. And I just always had the idea of creating a first aid company, one, to continue to show my boys how to lead and serve, and just to add value back to the community and take my lessons learned from, people's blood, sweat, tears, and lives that had been shed and sometimes lost, and then pay that forward so that individuals can really, moms, dads, and everybody can hold the line until first aid gets to them. It was mostly an idea in 2019 because I was still working full time, very, very busy, and worked really busy areas in LA County. Saw a lot of trauma, and encountered some as once I became a paramedic. As a firefighter, you're an EMT, but as a paramedic, you're more in charge of running the call, and you're more responsible for severe calls. And so I started to just open my eyes up to a lot more, and I started to see that. So that's when my wife and I started to move that forward a little bit to creating My Family's First Aid, the actual first aid portion of MF1A. The MF1A portion kind of encompasses things with helping men to become better men, teaching leadership, things like that. And then the My Family's First Aid is the first aid branch of that. And where that really stemmed from was, how to build a first aid kit, all this stuff. We would go into cardiac arrests. And as a paramedic, like I said, you run the call, you're in charge of the call for the most part. And I would see families standing by and not performing CPR on their loved ones, and while they're even being coached on the phone by dispatch. And so once I got my feet under me and I was a little more confident with my skill set and everything, and could attend to the bedside manner a little more on these really, really severe calls, I would ask families in a very empathetic way, why weren't you doing any CPR or doing anything for maybe a life-threatening bleed when we showed up? That's a hard question to ask, but they were very forthright with it. And across the board, regardless of anything, across the board, the number one response was always fear. And I said, well, what were you afraid of? And they were afraid of possibly hurting their loved one or that stranger more. So when it came to a stranger, it was maybe not understanding the Good Samaritan protected them, but with their family, it was causing any further harm. And so for me, I was thinking in my head, well, they're in cardiac arrest, they're not breathing. There's not much more harm we can do, but that's how paralyzed they were from that fear. So as time rolls on, I just started to think to myself, how do we vanquish that fear or empower and educate and equip people to step into those situations with a stranger or a loved one, provided it's safe for them. And that's where the foundation of my company, or My Family's First Aid, came up, was providing education, equipment, and training, experienced education, equipment, and training, so that people feel safe stepping in and they can. And at the end of the day, they can respect the person they see in the mirror and hopefully have provided a better outcome for that person. And some of the cases some of the calls that stuck out specifically were, one was the number of cardiac arrests where nobody was doing anything. And then just seeing that. And after that, there was a 5-year-old girl who we received a call for, who was choking, and on our NDC, which is a little computer terminal on our rigs, it said sheriff's on scene and 5-year-old is unresponsive. So we knew it was a legit. It wasn't a minor to severe cough. It was legit. So we were doing way over the speed limit, even with code red, code 3, and lights and sirens. And as we went to pull into the parking lot, I'd been driving. So I was what they call radio guy or radio man. So I was documenting it on the radio, and the guy to my right was going to be patient man. So he's going to be the hands-on portion for the most part. We pulled up. It was a stick shift. I set the emergency brake in gear, turned it off, and the sheriff just put this little 5-year-old girl who was is navy blue. She was dark blue, little Asian girl.
Sorry to interrupt, but we are made aware of national averages, and we're under the understanding it doesn't always happen, but police officers, sheriff's departments are usually there first. And in this case, the sheriff was there, but handed you the child.
Correct. Yeah.
To no fault. They weren't prepared or to act.
Trained.
Yeah, and part of that is how some localities, how their dispatch system works. So they'll receive the call before us. And so just however that works out. And then also just their numbers, there are more of them typically from what I understand. And and so they had tried tradition. So it was a little girl. She was just sitting in a chair, eating a grape. She wasn't bouncing off the walls. My wife and I, we have 4 boys. So we get, being there rough and rowdy. She was just doing her thing in an office. It was a little strip center mall. And we pulled up, and there were about 30 people in the parking lot, and he hands her to me, and they had tried everything. They had tried back blows, abdominal, Heimlich, shake. They tried everything. Mom, coworkers, the sheriffs. And so he hands her to me, and I kind of froze for a second, right? Because those are one of the more critical calls that no matter how much you train for, until you've really gotten your hands on and really run a lot of those calls, it kind of, you got to get in gear for a second. So I did. I tried back blows and a little bit of the Heimlich, and she was just completely limp. She was in cardiac arrest at this point. So I laid her on the ground. My buddy comes around and he hands me, I said, hey, give me the laryngoscope and the McGill forceps. And I still feel bad to this day because she survives, makes a full recovery. But it was actually his responsibility to do what I did. And so I kind of took that from him in a sense. But we improvise, adapt, and overcome. So we laid her down, and I used them to go forceps. I was on the ground on my stomach. Mom was screaming, and they're hooking her up to the 4 leads, starting an IV and doing compressions. And as I looked down into her throat with the laryngoscope, I saw a big green grate there, pulled it out. And for, I think, about another 2 minutes, she was in cardiac arrest. So we eventually got a pulse back with CPR and got her into the ambulance. And 2 days later, she made a full recovery. And so I looked at that, and I just thought to myself, like, what do we do? How can we empower or help moms and dads who don't have, a secondary backup when traditional choking really fails, whether it be for infants or adults. And so that kind of put me on the road to thinking, bigger scale and really pushing a first aid company forward. And then the same paramedic I was working with, he and so to finish that's where LifeVac really came into play for me. So only paramedics and ER doctors are allowed, to my knowledge, to use McGill forceps and laryngoscope, because you can actually tear the person's throat apart. And so that's not feasible for a mom or a dad or anybody who's not trained to use them. So we found LifeVac, and I tested it out, and we immediately bought some for our car, a kitchen, my wife's car, my car. And so I've been a big fan of LifeVac for a long time. And then the next thing that came up was that same paramedic was on a call. I wasn't on the call that day, but he had received a call for an infant in severe respiratory distress at a doctor's office. And when he got there, they were basically, the people in the office, to my understanding, were trying to pull the doctor and the dad apart. The dad was yelling, "This guy paralyzed my baby." And so from my understanding, in the haste of all of this, is that the severe respiratory distress, the baby was being cared for on the exam table, and it somehow had dropped the baby. And it paralyzed the baby. And I'm not for sure if that's temporary paralysis or full, but that kind of, once again, just like we need so much more education for the folks at home. That's not just box checking. And a lot of the first aid we teach right now in the United States, I think it's good intent, but I think it ultimately could have a little more experience, a little more quality. And so another step we move forward is how can I help people when they're helping infants or in a very stressful situation. And that's kind of like, if you watch my videos, I talk about the leg trap on an infant to get low to the ground. So that's really what kind of spurred me into this. And then of course, all the trauma, the gunshots, and, just all the other stuff I've seen happen to kids. And when you show up, mom and dad or family are standing there and they hand you their family member, and just trying to fill that gap. So provide that education. I know you guys talk about Teddy Roosevelt, and I've kind of taken one of his quotes is, do what you can where you are with what you have. And I've said, do what you can where you can with what you have and whom you're with. Right. And so, yeah, that's the basis, just trying to empower people and take that knowledge and pay it forward so they can.
And as you put my family first aid out there, I know that you have the website, beautiful website. And is that spelled out, My Family First Aid, or is it MYF1A?
It's the first aid site is My Family's, FAMILYS, so possessive. My Family's First Aid spelled out.
Right. And you're also very successful in blowing up overnight on TikTok. Do you find more exposure on one than the other?
100%. I don't Facebook. I really don't touch much. I've tried to I just know my thing. And then with Instagram and YouTube, it just, for some reason, I just didn't catch. It doesn't really move. And I've tried all the classes and paid people to help me, and it just doesn't work. And then TikTok was going to be banned, and my wife and I've never used TikTok, and just kind of the things that were happening, we just not part of that stuff. And
right.
I tried it and I thought, let's just see what happens. And my first video I put out within 3 days had 300,000 views. And I was being contacted by people in the Philippines, the UK, and other countries about, hey, do you have other videos? Do you teach? And so I realized, wow, here is a much more global reach that My Family's First Aid can have. And so I just started pushing forward. And with all the experience I have, I was trying to kind of bring that all to TikTok, and social media will tell you what they want, and it's good just to stay in that lane. So I've kind of become like the infant toddler choking guy, but yeah, huge success on TikTok, and it's been great. And it is eye-opening how many people are starving for real quality equipment and education when it comes to choking first aid.
Yeah, you talk about it on your website that it struck you, and you just mentioned it before, working, showing up, seeing the family in distress, and seeing that, not that they don't certainly care, but not prepared, don't have the knowledge, don't have an awareness of some of these. Yeah, just frozen. And we're both remembering Tim Weiss, who, another former Marine firefighter, used LifeVac to save his daughter, but until the training kicked in, and that pause you talked about taking, he's looking down and he still gets tears talking about it, because this is my daughter. This isn't, he was
dummy. A firefighter. They tried everything, the back slaps, and nothing was working. He goes, I was starting to panic, and I had 20 years experience, and it's a scary situation.
Yeah. So recently you were, I guess, onboarded, and you're part of GARA. Talk about GARA, and then just in the last few days becoming part of the LifeVac distributor team.
Yes, sir. So, GARA is the LifeVac's outreach program to from my understanding, experienced first responders and people who are experienced in administering first aid. And it's an organization that LifeVac is starting up and putting together to help give LifeVacs, or put LifeVacs in those people's hands, and then facilitate good quality experience training. So it's the Global Airway Rescue, I believe, Association. And through that, you also are become an authorized dealer, or you can, after having an interview with LifeVac, and that just helps you to facilitate buying LifeVacs in bulk, and then sometimes bringing the cost down a little bit for customers and family and friends. And that happened. Yeah. So I was teaching in, I don't know if I can say, in a certain close by state. And I've been spending about 8 months of the last year there teaching wilderness first aid and CPR first aid to almost 800 state employees. And that's where I saw that email in my spam, because I had reached out to LifeVac to try to become an affiliate and work with LifeVac. And for some reason, those were going into my spam folder. And so after a class, I was looking through there, and I just decided to check spam for some reason. And I saw it from Mike Plunkett, the Guerra application. And we talked for maybe an hour, and just really kind of, we just connected on everything we're talking about right now. He's a veteran also. Right. And he's obviously I think the sales executive with LifeVac. So he got me set up with that, and I have a lot of big ideas I'd like to work with LifeVac on. And I teach the LifeVac. I demonstrate it in every one of my classes, all my CPR first aid courses, whether it's here at homeschool classes. I've got a class tomorrow and on Saturday, and I also teach it when I'm teaching the larger organization. So I contract with a company similar to Red Cross and American Heart, and I'll go anywhere from the border of Canada and Washington all the way down to Arizona, teaching 3-person excavation companies, literally in the dirt, international grain facilities where we're out by the silos, all the way to 1 million square foot facilities in Utah where they have 12 to 24 person response teams for medical emergencies. Biggest companies in Las Vegas for sound. And every time I teach this, and most of the time people are buying these. And so I've been trying to figure out how can I maybe get a little bit back from that, but also just to keep pushing a quality product. Right. When it comes down to the equipment side of things, the organization I've been teaching for a lot, they unfortunately had 2 deaths in the field, and they realized they didn't want they couldn't facilitate box checking first aid anymore. So I taught some CPR classes for them, and they realized I actually used chest seals and tourniquets, and I've dealt with life-threatening bleeds and airway issues in the field. So they brought me back, and some of those folks, one of the guys was actually at his home when we were teaching a class. That week he was at home and he was eating an apple, and we were doing the choking portion of first aid CPR. And I'm not for sure if you're aware, but most companies that certify, it's about a 4-minute video, and there's no hands-on required, right? So they're not taking the baby and doing, back blows and chest thrusts on the baby. It's a video. And so in all my courses, people are putting the baby in their hands, and I'm introducing them to the LifeVac also. And the guy said, hey, I was at home the other day, and I was just wondering if you could teach us, what do we do if we're choking by ourselves? And I said, so I ran him through what I teach. And I said, but, 1 child dies every 5 days, 5,000 people die a year. Choking relief traditionally fails around 20 to 30% of the time. And so what do you have to fill that gap? And that's where I said, you should have a LifeVac. So I showed him traditional, and he basically said he started to choke. He didn't call 911. There was nobody else home. He saw the corner of the island in his kitchen, and he just ran his stomach into it and it popped the apple out. And then I demonstrated this for him. And I put it on. I tell everybody, you grab your ring, you twist. And I always tell people, never put it over your actual face if you're not actually choking, because you may not possibly injure yourself. So I always demonstrate it to the side. And it always gets a lot of laughs from people.
Yeah, just let it hang there for a little bit.
And people typically laugh, and I'm like, hey, but at least now you've got a slide up in your carousel that if you are choking and you're starting to see things turn gray, you just go here, press and pull. And he bought 2 on the spot. And I've taught some miners in Vernal, Utah, and there was a dad there. He's a miner. They're underground 12 hours a day. He gets home. He's totally tired. His daughter's eating. And she started to choke. And so he had to save her life with back blows and chest, everything. Heimlich, he was trying everything. Didn't really know what to do. And he saw LifeVac. And he's used LifeVac 4 times to save his daughter's life, because what they found out was she had an issue with swallowing. So he's got him in his cards. And kind of a long-winded answer, but that's
love it. And I love the fact that you are on the team,
certified.
You're in the arena and you're in the family.
In the arena.
I know that we had a picture of your family, because I wanted to part with maybe that. Is it?
How old are your kids?
We've got 4 boys. They're 18, 15, and just turned. That's the last one. That's a family I was teaching. 18, 15, 13, just turned 13 and 9. 4 boys. I'll play rugby.
Yeah, we'll knock it up later there, Bob.
Yeah, it's in the very last one where it shows me Marine Corps Fire Department. And there's one in the center of family. It says
Tovar's a baseball name.
That's rugby.
Yeah. So.
Well, listen, we appreciate you so much joining us tonight. We're going to get the website on this feed, and we're going to talk more, I'm sure, in the coming days on how we can explore, because you're looking at 2 lost individuals when it comes to social media.
Actually, yeah, social media. But my oldest son is now a firefighter down in Charleston, so I can relate. I can,
Congratulations.
Talking about, yeah.
Congratulations.
So where are you based now? You were in California. You're in Iowa?
Idaho. This is up in the Northwest. Potatoes, not born in Iowa. Born in Iowa.
Geography.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
Potatoes. Northwest of America. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the team.
Thank
Jose.
you very much.
Appreciate having you.
Have a good evening. I look forward to speaking to you guys.
Mr. 3K. You'll hear about Ray Priebe in a little bit. All right, Jose. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. Wow. How exciting how this happened, where a conversation between Stovar, not only with Mike Plunkett, but also Donna Marie DiGregorio on some of the content that he had questions on. And through Julia said to me, hey, how would you like to meet I said, absolutely. And then when I heard about his TikTok success, I said, for God's sake.
Does Jose knows Chris? These are 2 guests. They know each other?
No.
Oh, they don't.
Not before. Now they do.
Okay.
Now they're going to be exchanging first aid training and jerky.
Okay.
All bets are off now. So, you know what? We're coming up. We mentioned it before. We're coming up on 4,000 lives saved worldwide. I don't want to waste any more time chatting about it. I want to go to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. 3000. His beautiful daughter Maya on a Florida highway to be the 3,000th life saved.
Reported.
Yes, reported.
3,000. Number 3,000. And guys, let's talk some numbers here, because I am just absolutely blown away by the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks. But Bobby, why don't you go ahead and run that number for us, Bobby?
Wow, 3,900. A little more than half children, but as we were talking about with everybody, all ages, no one's, and all political affiliations.
There's been weeks with like 40, so we could do it this month.
Absolutely.
Well, it's funny you say that, Pat. Guess how many in the last 2 weeks?
In the last 2 weeks,
120.
We didn't have a show last week. We're doing 2. We're doing 2 weeks. How many? 20?
120.
120, he says.
Little lower. 80. 80 in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's reported, by the way, and it's amazing.
And again, just for reference, it always sticks in my head. 2016, 4. The entire year.
4.
That chart is
4.
It's averaging 6 a day being reported.
Yeah.
Saving a lot of lives.
I just learned about a Nassau County police officer saving a child. Very proud, but not reported. So we're going to work on that tomorrow. So I don't know if that's going to affect the race to 4,000, but it may.
They all count.
Well, I mean, let's think about this. Since number 3,000, since my little girl Maya, 179 days ago, 900 saves.
Amazing.
In 179 days. That is just unbelievable numbers.
Yep. Really is.
Unbelievable. And let's dive into the highlight of the week, because it is absolutely amazing. Highlight of the week. April 11th. A male in his late 60s to early 70s choked on a breakfast while dining at a Michigan restaurant, causing a total obstruction. The Heimlich was performed by an off-duty officer who was at the next table. Here's the Good Samaritan story. I saw the off-duty officer performing the Heimlich with no success. I ran to my car. I was a little nervous about leaving my daughter by herself, but I knew I had to help this man. I retrieved my LifeVac and used the device to successfully dislodge the food.
Wow.
I was at the restaurant with my 4-year-old daughter who witnessed the entire incident. The restaurant manager was extremely thankful, even paid for my meal. When we were leaving the restaurant, my daughter said, "Mommy, you saved that man."
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's a great story. It is amazing.
Great story.
Beyond the
Amazing
numbers, call it, because we talk about these numbers, and certainly there's a huge, tremendous, heartwarming story behind 3,000. And we're blessed you every week, and it's really amazing. So what can you tell us?
Absolutely is. It's just
Dead air. Let's go.
Yeah. What can you tell us about the contest that we're all involved with? And we're getting back to a
I
number.
Gotta change mine. It's going to be way before June.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think my number, I gave the first date of the 24th, and I don't think it's going to take that long. 24th of next month. That's going to be a little off.
Oh, we're going to pass that by next month.
Mm. Well, we're
doing average in between 30 and 45 a week at this point.
May the 4th be with you. Brian's birthday, May 7th.
May 7th.
That's my new pick.
Yeah, you can get in there. I think it's officially taken, but we'll have to take a look back at the. But if you're listening and you want to put a guess in, I will pledge a LifeVac jacket for the person that wins.
Or
the bomber
jacket,
jacket,
a new item.
Your choice.
It's used, but the sweatband.
Or the sweatband. Yes. But again, Ray, we always appreciate you dropping in every week.
Mr. 3000.
Mr. 3K.
Oh, man. Pots and
We love you guys. And before I go, let's do it. LifeVac. Have it and don't need it. Don't need it and not have it. The life you save could be your own. God bless.
God bless you.
All right,
Happy
Ray.
Easter, Ray.
See you next week.
Wow. It's fantastic. We got a big week coming up. That was a great show. I want to thank Chris Praskis and Jose Tovar and, of course, Mr. 3K. And I want to thank this guy, Pat O'Rourke.
Still don't know why I'm here, but okay. You got it.
You're here because you keep the ball moving. You point out when I've stopped talking.
Dead air.
Dead air. If I had a name that started with D, yeah.
We need a producer in here saying, okay, it's your turn to talk.
Someone to throw something at me. Again, Disappearing Gumby, not really needed, but we keep him here for moral support.
I see the green today.
We have Jackie Bear, and we have a big week next week, which is going to be just for anyone that's checking out where you see In the Arena. That means we're going out on Facebook and YouTube, and we would love it if you like and share it with folks specifically who you think need to hear this message about being protected, because each LifeVac that we send out, we hope that they're never used, but
I'm amazed at how many people's lives are touched by these chokings. I mean, like, knock on wood, it hasn't really happened in my life. Well, I mean, at the beach once when I was a kid. But it's a long shot. Anyways,
usually families that come up to Roadshow Ryan or to us at a public event, there's a story and there's usually touch. And stay tuned for the general Major General Hartzell that we met in Florida. We're gonna be able to share his story soon, I believe, that made us cry and made him cry, and it's just really touching. It wasn't involving LifeVac; it was involving his son, but such an emotional attachment that most people have if they have one of these near tragedies, and it was a great outcome and a great foundation, and we'll be talking more about that in the coming weeks. More at the VA. We had veterans all around us tonight, so we thank each of them for their service. We'll see you next week or the next time you tune in to the Man in the Arena. And this has been
In the Arena.
In the Arena. God bless. We'll see you next time.
It's no joke when you choke, so get LifeVac and live. Without breath, there'll be death. So get LifeVac and live. Get LifeVac and live. Get LifeVac and live.
LifeVac and live.